Hi y'all, this is Aunt Flo sitting in for Sonia while she's off having another nervous breakdown.
Sorry, I'm wearing a spacesuit. It's because it's bloody cold in here. I had the chills so bad I thought I was coming down with the COVID. I don't know what's going on. Last year the landlord had the heat up, but this year maybe he's following the government advice to turn the heat down. Of course, that's really not going to save electricity because we all just have our ovens on. But until the oven heats the place up sufficiently, I'll have to wear the spacesuit.
Well, y'all keep asking me where I am. I'm still here. I've just been laying low, trying to get my battle plan together. But I'm always willing to lend a helping hand to a friend in need. Today we're going to talk about Biden's vaccine mandate and all the stuff people are doing to make sure it doesn't happen. If you like the video, thank you for hitting like and for subscribing. Also for your support on Patreon. And don't forget to get yourself some pouches just in time for Christmas. For you, so your car doesn't smell when your relatives get in, or you can give it to your relatives so their cars don't smell when you get in. And it's 15% off and no shipping and handling for a 3-pack of pouches, even if you live in Canada. Now, let's talk about the news. So basically, Joe Biden doesn't understand that America is a republic and the states have self-governance. Well, I think he understands, or at least his advisors do, but he's trying to find a way around that to make sure that every single person who he can get the supply to has to take the COVID-19 vaccine. It's for everybody's safety, of course, but it might not be constitutional. So what he's doing is he's relying on some kind of code in something called OSHA, which has to do with keeping people safe at work, as a way to make everybody have to take the COVID vaccine. Now, normally OSHA, it's to make sure people don't get squashed into pancakes while they're on the job, or fall into giant vats, or get ground up into hamburger meat. But in this case, he's saying, well, if y'all don't vaccinate everybody against COVID-19, y'all aren't providing a safe workplace. And y'all gonna get fined for that one. Big time. So, what puts the weight, or the tooth, so to speak, into what he's saying? Well, he's resorted to using these laws, which I'm going to show you. First of all, 29 U.S. Code 666. Well, I never. Civil and criminal penalties. Code 666. And y'all wonder why folks got religious objections? Wake up and smell the fire and brimstone. Well, according to Code 666, if you violate the requirements in Section 654 and promulgated, whatever that means, Section 655 of the title, you're going to get a big fine. I'm talking $70,000. So you better think twice before you let somebody turn into hamburger meat on the job. Now, they're trying to use this to make people have to take the COVID vaccine at work. They're saying to the boss, if you don't make them take the COVID vaccine and they come into work, you're going to get that $70,000 fine. Maybe even $700,000. Breaking news break. Joe Biden farted while he was in Scotland at the COP26. Supposed to be reducing emissions, but he was producing some of his own. And right in front of the Duchess. Well, I never. It was long and loud and impossible to ignore, said an informed source. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it. Well, this was about a week ago. I wonder if she stopped talking about it now. Anyhow, the president of the U.S. accidentally farted in front of the monarchy while trying to make polite conversation. Hot tip, if you're trying to keep your small talk polite, cutting a giant fart in the middle of it's gonna ruin it. Well, I think this is bad news for Joe Biden. Once people start farting accidentally in front of rich people, it's usually a sign that something's going wrong up here. It doesn't look good for America either. I mean, how can he take control of the economy if you can't even control his own anus? Okay, so here's what happened with the OSHA thing and the vaccine mandate. The GOP appointed judge put a freeze on it. because there was a lawsuit. They were trying to put a freeze on the mandate for the companies. You know, what I was telling you about before. It was a group of plaintiffs, including Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, and part of a wave of lawsuits against the order from mostly Republican-aligned groups and politicians. Republicans sure are leading the charge on this one, aren't they? Huh. The judge said there was cause to believe there are grave statutory and constitutional issues with the mandate, so he put a freeze on it. Now, the defendants didn't like that, so they tried to get that reversed, but the federal court declined to lift the stay. In fact, according to Yahoo News, they even said the mandate for employees was staggeringly overboard and ordered its implementation to remain blocked, and a divisive case likely bound for the Supreme Court. You hear that, folks? That's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And after that, well, that'll be it. No more court cases about the vaccine mandate. Okay, I'm trying to stay neutral here. Otherwise, I get kicked off of YouTube. Also, states are challenging Biden's vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. It's not just for the employees in the companies, it's also for the healthcare workers. A coalition of 10 states sued the federal government on Wednesday to try to block a COVID-19 vaccine requirement for healthcare workers, marking a new front in the resistance by Republican-led states. It's the Republicans. Now, there's also been a whole bunch of other lawsuits by people in the military and stuff like that. They're suing everybody. That's what Americans do, you know, when they don't like something, they sue. I wish Canadians would learn how to sue, because we just keep getting trampled on. We just kind of lie there like, oh, well, there's not much I can do. It's not like I can sue. Okay, well, I'm just going to go home and cry. We need to learn how y'all are doing this. You want to tell me, leave me a comment below. I sure would appreciate it. United States District Court for the Eastern District of Tennessee. Oh, it's the Children's Health Defense. That's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Amy Miller. And they're suing the FDA. And Janet Woodcock. Everybody's suing everybody. You got this one too? It's all this. John Doe and Jane Doe are suing all these folks from the Department of Defense, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Air Force, the Navy, the FDA, and the Army. And this is because all the military folks, they're pretty ticked off right now because with the mandate, usually they're supposed to have some kind of religious exemptions, but the Army won't give it to them. I mean, the military. So this is the grievance. They're saying, well, hey, we got religious objections. It's kind of not a surprise, you know, sex, and all that. Anyhow, trying to stay neutral. They said, well, we got religious objections, and you won't respect them. So we're going to sue you in court. That's what this is all about. Here's another one. And here's another one. And this one asked for a temporary restraining order, and they did get it. Oh, this one, he's suing Joe Biden himself. Lord mercy. That should be interesting. See how that turns out. File this emergency application for temporary restraining order and motion for preliminary injunction against defendants seeking to enjoin the enforcement of mandatory vaccination provisions contained in Secretary Austin's order dated August 24th, DOD, and President Biden's order. Okay. Well, the judge said it was okay. They gave him an injunction. United States District Court for the District of Columbia. These folks up here are suing all these folks over here. Secretary of State, Department of Defense, President of the United States, no less, Secretary of the Treasury. Yep. And then also, this one's all military. All these folks, they're suing the government. because of this not respecting religious exemptions. Plus, if you don't like to hear it from me, but you like to hear it from Fox News, you can go here on Yahoo to see how the military personnel, federal employees sue Biden administration over vaccine mandate. And the First Liberty Institute General Counsel McBerry appeared on Fox and Friends to discuss the lawsuit. So if you want more information, you can go right here and find out. These military heroes face dishonorable discharge, court-martial. Whew, that's heavy. Termination and other disciplinary actions merely for submitting their religious exemption requests. Whew. I mean, talk about being between a rock and a hard place. Anyhow, on top of that whole employee mandate thing and the whole healthcare worker thing, there's also some individual states that are passing some legislation. Governor Henry McMaster issued Executive Order 2021-38, which prohibits all state agencies and his cabinet from requiring employees to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. The prohibition applies to the 19 state agencies that make up the governor's cabinet. So governor says, nobody working for me can make this mandatory for their employees. However, he's not banning businesses from having their own vaccine mandates. So it just applies to government employees. And in Florida, Florida's been bucking the system the whole time. They're taking it a step further now. They're pushing vaccine exemptions, school mask lawsuits. They're having a special legislative session that will focus on opposing COVID-19 vaccine and mask mandates. Ron DeSantis says we've got to stop browbeating people. The proposals are to include ensuring workers can receive exemptions from employer-required vaccinations. Interesting, if you compare it to Canada, for example, our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, it's going to be bloody hard for you to get an exemption, even if you're religious. We're going to make you jump through a whole bunch of hoops. Well, I guess it's a different situation in Florida with Governor DeSantis. So they've also filed lawsuits challenging the federal vaccination requirements for businesses and contractors. And they didn't include removing COVID-19 liability protections for businesses that fire employees based on vaccination requirements. In Texas, proposals intended to block businesses from mandating COVID-19 vaccinations failed after business groups objected. Florida even threatened to pull out of OSHA altogether. Plus, DeSantis says no state vaccine sites for kids. He says Florida will not host state-run vaccine sites for children now that kids age 5 to 11 are able to get vaccinated. But there's more. It's not just the state suing about the workplace mandate or the healthcare mandate or even the military suing about religious objections. There's even some resistance from the inside. Senior NIH expert pushes back on growing vaccine mandates. Matthew Mamoli favors vaccinations in vulnerable populations, but argues population-level vaccination could hinder the development of a natural, robust immunity gained through infection.
An unvaccinated doctor who heads a research team at the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease is leading a debate within the NIH over the ethics of COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Matthew Mamoli, a 16-year veteran at the NIH, will argue against vaccine mandates in a December 1st live-streamed roundtable session over the ethics of mandates, which will be open for viewing within the agency to patients and to the public, the Wall Street Journal reported.
An unvaccinated doctor. Lucky for him, he heads a research team at the NIAID. And he gets to have a debate. The rest of us don't get to have a debate. When the rest of us try to have a debate, we're accused of spreading fake news. Matthew Mamoli reportedly wrote an email to Anthony Fauci in July that he found mandated vaccinations extraordinarily problematic. I think the way we are using the vaccine is wrong, he told Fauci. Those are his words, not mine. Don't shoot the messenger. Well, that's all for the news. I hope that was interesting for you and that you didn't click off and fall asleep. Most of it went over my head, so if you understood any of it, why don't you explain it to me in the comments? Thank you in advance. Well, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.